Good morning and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
And we're here to give you this week's reading recommendations on, it's a fifth Wednesday of the month. And we had a delay in shipping from one of our distributors that cut our offering today down by about half. We're expecting those to arrive tomorrow morning. So those will be available again. But we still were able to put together 3 really solid picks, and we had to narrow it down from a handful more. So let's dive right in.
Yeah. So my pick today is Wolverine 42, Part 2 of the Sabretooth War arc that they just started recently. As you can tell by this cover, it's not going well right off the bat. Like, without getting into spoilers, last issue already saw a bunch of people die. This issue sees a bunch more people die.
Yeah, Sabretooth left Wolverine a happy birthday message, right?
Yeah.
41?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
a lot of people talking about that.
Yeah, and like, there is the caveat of just like, like mutants do have like a way to cheat death in that. It's not exactly working right now because the way to cheat it isn't exactly on Earth at the moment.
Right.
But still, like, there's technically work about it. That doesn't mean it doesn't suck when you see your loved ones
dismembered?
Dismembered. Yeah. And this issue, like, if you thought last issue was brutal, this issue just ratchets up immediately because it's just an all-out assault on like the X-Force compound from like an army of Sabretooths. Sabreteeth? They make that comment in there too. She's like, what's the plural of that? Yeah. But no, it's like they just like dive headfirst into just like how much of a nightmare scenario this is. And it's kind of wall-to-wall action, so but it's great wall-to-wall action. Corey Smith, who had done a lot of the Ghost Rider stuff with Percy on that, is on this, and his art is like great. He captures it so well. Everyone kind of gets like a little moment to shine. North Star and Aurora get to show like why they're actually incredibly dangerous in a fight. Like they're great. Domino and Laura get some good stuff. Colossus, who frankly has, for various reasons, not really gotten to do a whole lot during the Cocoon Age, gets to have a cool little fight. But Black Tom, this and X-Force always remind me how much I love him. He's just a weird dude who can talk to plants. Yeah. But yeah, it's good. Wolverine's being put through the ringer, as you would expect from an arc called Sabretooth War. It's just, fun feels like the wrong word because no one's having fun except kind of Sabretooth.
For sure.
Yeah. But
it's one of the best parts about the whole X-Wing of Marvel, though. It's they've got so many sadistic villains.
And like it was fun. One of our regulars was talking about when we had Percy here a couple years ago. Yep. Like I asked him the obvious question, just like, "Oh, you're doing Wolverine? You're going to do a Sabretooth story at some point?" And just like, "Oh yeah, obviously at some point." Yeah,
he was kind of like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, and almost 2 years later, exactly. Yeah. Now we're getting it, and it was definitely worth the wait.
Yeah. Very cool.
Like, also, one of the things I love about this arc is, so, like, Percy's, like, writing, but he's also, is being co-written by Victor Lavelle, who had done the previous Sabretooth miniseries for the last 2 that they did at Marvel. And I love those, so having him on board is a really nice touch. I hope that some of the supporting cast from that hasn't shown up good. I really hope they do, because they were a lot of fun. Again, the fact that like this era made Nanny a character I look forward to seeing showing up is just like, I can't wait for her to show up in this. But no, we're off to a good start. I think it's running through like issue 50, so like
we have a little time.
Yeah, we're just at the start, and they've already it's already gone a lot further than I thought it would. So I'm super excited to see what happens next.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, but speaking of. This is the start of an arc, the end of an arc. Over to you, Patrick.
Yes. So I went with Incredible Hulk number 8. And we've had a number of these issues show up. This run is more similar to Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk run in that we're tapping back into kind of the horror roots of the inspiration for the character anyway. And there's like this elder god that Hulk and his hitchhiker, vagabond, Ward, yeah. So this kid that he's hooked up with, and it's, I love when they tap into kind of some basic elements of the character again, and it's very Rick Jones kind of like. He's got this sidekick that he's acting like he doesn't really want around at all, but you know deep down Hulk is kind of a softie. So, and all kinds of stuff has happened in this other Ghost Rider that they kind of allude had been a previous iteration.
I love that they because obviously it's cool when you get something that's this mystery, you get you find out what it's about, and then but I also sometimes we're just you're not really sure what their deal is. You understand their connection to the what's going on here, but you don't the how and why of how they came to be isn't really gotten into too much, but in a way where it's just I don't know, I like that we still don't know a whole lot about this Ghost Rider.
Yeah, and just aesthetically it would have, and we've had this conversation World War II, Korean War era, something like that, based on the motorcycle and the machine gun. This Ghost Rider mentions that they've been dead for a long time, and kind of what it was that pulled them back. So we get a little bit of insight into that.
It kind of feels like this might not be the last we see of them too.
I would hope not, because a lot of times I don't like the retcon. Oh, there was a previous version of this character or whatever. But this, I like the mystery going on here, and the aesthetic is awesome.
Oh yeah.
The whole time I was, because this is the third issue with that Ghost Rider, yes. And this whole time I've been thinking, what a great what if character this would make. Can I get a big what if story on, Korean War era motorcycle Ghost Rider? But anyway, so this was one of the fastest reading comics that I've had in quite a while, because there is some action. There's
a lot of Hulk smashing. It's really good Hulk smashing.
Yeah, Nick Klein is killing this book, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, what I love is I'm forgetting offhand who does the coloring for most of the book, but he gets to do the coloring for kind of the internal sequences.
Oh sure.
And it gives this it has this much more ethereal feel to it. I love it.
Yeah, it's kind of ghostly. Yeah. And we were saying as we were talking about the books this morning, sometimes it's cool to just, instead of having the writer fill every panel with a bunch of text explaining things or telling how people feel or whatever, sometimes it's awesome just what was this, a 3 or 4 page spread of just almost straight action?
There's a couple pages in here where the only kind of words on the page are the sound effects of something going
yeah, so cool. And it worked really well. And it really shows off Nick Klein's talents, because sometimes those action scenes can get a little confusing. You're not sure which panel to go to. And they did. They messed around with kind of panel sizes and placement and stuff, and you just fire right through it and see everything. And it was really cool.
Another thing I think I mentioned before with this one is, at the end of each of these arcs, they'll have a little thing at the back kind of explaining going more to the history of whatever monster they had to deal with this arc, and I don't know, I love that. I love how they, especially how certain elements of it tie into the Hulk as a character, with this he's a creature born of rage and hate. I don't know, that sounds pretty familiar.
Yeah, right? Public service announcement: if you really like horses, probably avoid a couple panels in here. There's some, I don't know, demon horses or something.
They're demon horses. I think it's fine. Yeah.
But, it was, if you saw Napoleon and were really horrified by what happened to horses in war, then this might be, I'm really enjoying this, and the pacing's great. So one more thing about Nick Klein. To me, the make or break on an artist drawing Hulk is getting the proportions right. So sometimes he can look too normal. Sometimes he looks just kind of goony or gangly, or just not right. And it should feel kind of like a lumbering, hulking, kind of, Swamp Thing or Man Thing or.
One of the things, I think it was Casada back in the day, pointed out, one of the keys to, doing a good Hulk is, make sure like the head's a little small.
Yes.
Because it really it really just tells like how big everything else is. That like not like because you don't want to make it too small, but like small that like everything just that encompasses it just seems that much bigger by comparison.
Yeah, and I think, too many times they make the neck kind of long on Hulk and his head is kind of sitting up a bit. I think when his shoulders are kind of hunched over.
His trap should be like trying to like swallow his head.
Yeah, exactly. He should almost have a hard time hearing. But anyway, I just haven't been able to say enough good about this book, and it's been amazing. So, and I just love Hulk. I think he's one of the great underrated. It's hard to say underrated at Marvel, but when he gets done right, it's really, really right.
He's weirdly versatile in like the like amounts of different genre stories you can do with. Because like you think of like the stuff he's like the runs that like the kind of like story arcs he's famous with is like Joe Fixit, where he's a mob enforcer, Planet Hulk, where he's a space gladiator.
Yeah.
This in Immortal Hulk, it's big horror stuff all the time. Like you wouldn't think like, oh, big green dude who smashes stuff, you could like toss him to all this different stuff. Works way better than it really should.
Yeah. This has been a really fun ride, and we got to be at the point where the graphic novel did that.
I'm pretty sure we got some of that.
I don't remember. I see everything so many times.
It's very true.
It's just crazy. Well, on to our consensus pick for the day, and I think is this the
first.
Is this the third week in a row that we picked one of these number ones from this? Did we do Rise and Fall or not?
We did Rise. We didn't do Fall.
Okay,
but
that was good. It was on my list on my short list.
But yep, it's another X-Men title feed into the whole like fall of like the Cronin Age here, and it is Dead X-Men #1. So spoiler alert if you didn't read Hellfire Gala, but they elect a new X-Men team. They immediately were all murdered by Nimrod.
Yeah.
And
what a Nimrod.
But now they're back.
Yeah.
And they're having kooky timeline adventures because if you read Rise, you saw that like basically like Xavier's got this whole like secret operation going on trying to like figure out how to stop Enigma and Moira and just like fix all the timeline stuff that's happened recently.
Yeah.
And this is part of their team that they're sending out. It's interesting. They haven't gone into like how they're able to resurrect them because as I mentioned with Wolverine, like resurrection isn't exactly on the table at the moment.
Yeah.
So how that's working here isn't like super clear. But like I kind of like that they don't get into it right away. That's kind of like something simmering on the surface. It's just like, what happens next? Because especially considering what their mission statement is for this team, like what they're doing, hopping through timelines, it makes it even more curious. It's just like, okay, like you kind of get like why this team was picked.
Yes.
But like the how of it and what comes next after like how things go in this mission, especially after how things go in this mission, because there's some complications that I don't think anyone foresaw happening.
Well, and I'm not sure that they're aware of them as
I don't think they are.
Their missions. So they're thinking mission successful.
Yeah, and then something happens just like, oh, maybe not at the same time.
Yeah, maybe one of the worst possible people has now gotten something that they really want. It's very interesting. I really like the lineup of characters that we get to see in this book. Not only the main X-Men that this story is going to center around, but I also really enjoyed the alternate universe because they're bopping from universe to universe looking for somebody in particular, a version of somebody in particular that's going to be useful to them. Yeah,
and like it's by Steve Fox. He did the recent Dark X-Men mini. That's also been part of this whole thing.
I was going to ask what else has Fox done.
And he's also doing the new Spider-Woman comic right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I don't know. I really enjoyed in there, like him being able to write these like the disparate group of characters who like they're just kind of like thrown together into this situation that they don't really have any control over, and they're just kind of having to like do their best. And a lot of people pointed out when this team was originally kind of shown up in Hellfire Gala, it's just like, this is honestly like a team of X-Men like I would like to read. So it's really cool that we're actually getting them as a team here.
Yeah.
And just their dynamic of like, you're getting like, there's some bickering, there's some like, they're like kind of like poking fun at each other, but like, if one of them's in trouble, they do what an X-Men does and they are there for them.
Right, yeah.
It's super solid, like a bunch of great action. I'm happy to see Orbis Stellaris joke, because I feel like of all the Sinister clones, he's got like the least amount of page time.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's just something about like this guy who like helped stage a whole intergalactic war, and in his off time just makes like weird robot stuff, and just like I don't know, I like him. He's a weird little like freak.
Yeah. Well, and he's very still got the Sinister personality traits. This is hermetically sealed, you jerk. Like it was so fun. Like of the things to be upset about.
I know. Yeah, it's like so it should be so far down the list, but he's just such a like asshole about it. I apologize if we have to bleep that out.
Yeah. No, he's great. And whatever, for whatever reason, I always think Dazzler and Jubilee are I love Cannonball.
Oh, Cannonball's great. Prodigy's good to do a lot in here.
Yep.
I love what they're doing with like because I at first with like what they're doing with this power, it's just like, is that how that works again? And they point out like, oh no, technically yes. It's just they like did some stuff back in the day to make sure it didn't like have this effect on them.
They
it's just
put
like
up some firewalls.
Yeah, and now the firewalls are down. She's like, oh yeah, that would be awful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I really can I another what if possibility here. I really like the Starjammers that showed up in that alternate reality. I thought they were super cool. So yeah. All right, well, that's what we've got for you this week. We're expecting the DC and Image books to show up tomorrow morning. So we should have those on the shelf as soon as they arrive. That's all dependent upon them actually, moving from one place to another. So we'll see, and we'll keep you all updated. Follow us on social media, and you will get those updates. And then be sure to like, follow, subscribe, leave some comments. We love reading those. Stop on into the store because we love talking to you in person too. That's the best part of this whole thing. So we'll be back next week. Until then, enjoy the reading. Thanks for joining.
So back to Orbots. Pirates of Darkwater.
Yeah.